Are you having a hard time figuring out what to get Dad for Father's Day? You should check out Row 1 Brand's Vintage Pictorum Gallery. They have America's best sports art. With over 7,200 historic sports prints, you're assured to find something unique for Dad this Father's Day. Instead of a boring old tie, get him a historic baseball photo taken by Henry High Sandom at the historic Polo Grounds Stadium in New York City during the 1894 Temple Cup. Or, if he's an NFL buff, check out the 1963 vintage NFL poster. These are so good looking that you'll be amazed how they turn out. Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1 and save 15% off your order.
Sports jersey history is alive and well each and every day of the year, and January 26 is no exception. We have 4 numbers we're going to talk about today. Jersey number 6, 25, 99, and 95. Learn about these great players and the history they made on January 26, coming up in just a moment. Hi, my name's Darren Hayes, and I know you've heard me on the Pigskin Dispatch talking about football history for years. Well, now I'm on a new mission, a quest to find sports history in other sports as well as football by learning through the jerseys and the apparel and the gear that the players wore and the franchises supplied their teams. It's an educational trip, and I'm taking you with me day by day, player by player, uniform by uniform. The Sports Jersey Dispatch.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, sports friends. How are you today? I'm hoping you're having a great day. It's going to get even better because we're going to talk about some sports history and some things that I've learned about the date of January 26th. And we have some of the numbers that I referred to earlier in the intro. Numbers of 6, 25, 99, and 95. Well, let's talk about that number 6 first. Well, he has got a reference on January 26, 1921, over 100 years ago. Corb Dennehy of the Toronto St. Patrick's scored 6 goals in a home game against the Hamilton Tigers. The Toronto squad won the game 10-3, but 6 goals in one hockey game. I don't care what era you're in. That is quite a big number. That's a double hat trick, I guess we'd have to call that one. Now, next is our number 25, January 26, 1960, prep hardcourt sensation. Danny Heater is going to be our profile story that we're going to talk about today. He wore number 25 when he scored 135 points in a high school basketball game in Burnsville, West Virginia. It was a National Scholastic Hoops record. Now, Heater played for Burnsville High as they dropped Wyden High School in a lopsided 173-43 victory. Danny was 53 of 70 from the floor, 29 of 41 free throw attempts, and remember, this is over 25 years before there was a three-point shot in high school hoops. Though the scoring is what it is most remembered, Heater also hauled down 32 rebounds and had 7 assists in a game. Now, prior to the contest against Wyden, Danny averaged 27 points per game, so this is well over his average, 108 over his average. 27 points per game is pretty strong, but going to 135, wow. The previous record of 120 points was set in the 1950s, but the 6'0" senior was fed the ball from teammates when they saw that he had the hot hand. The 135 is the second highest in basketball at all levels, as Jack Taylor of NCAA Division III's Grinnell College scored 138 points years later in 2012. Some say it's horrible for the coach to have run the score up that much, but the Burnsville coach, Jack Stalnaker, lamented later he did it because he knew Heater's father was an unemployed coal miner and the family had recently lost everything they owned in a house fire. Heater was a deserving kid, according to Stalnaker. A humble young man, a great student, hard worker, and had a chance to escape financial plight. The colleges had no awareness of this young player, and that the scoring that he would be able to do would give the young man a spotlight in the national media and maybe a chance at a scholarship to a big college, of which, if without, Danny would not be able to go to school probably. Stallmaker told each man on the team of his plan to feed Danny the ball to get the recognition he deserves and badly needed. And they all fully agreed because they all loved Danny. He was very well respected by all of his teammates, and like we said, he was a humble kid and just well-liked. Everybody agreed to it except Danny. The first 2.5 minutes of the game, Danny would pass the ball away every time he'd get it rather than shoot, and the Burnsville Blaze trailed by 6 after those first 2.5 minutes. Hard to believe. However, after a wise timeout was taken, where Danny saw how much it meant to the team for him to score, all his teammates told him so, and so did the coach, the reluctance faded and history was made. Unfortunately, Danny Heater was never offered a scholarship to school. But a retired state senator in West Virginia, after hearing his story, paid his tuition and housing to attend the University of Richmond. Heater joined the Spider basketball team, but after about a week, he left due to being homesick. Heater was embarrassed all his life about making the other team look so poorly in that 135 scoring spur that he had. He eventually married and moved to Washington, D.C., where he worked for Delta Airlines for over 30 years. Another ironic twist of the story is that his parents attended all of his high school basketball games, save one. It was his 135-point scoring spree due to his father was ill that day with the flu, and his mother stayed home to care for her husband. And boy, was she excited, jumped up and down when he came home and told her that he scored 135 points in one game. Just a tremendous story on Danny Heater. Sounds pretty bad when you have a team scoring that much and a single player scoring that much, and 175 to 43 or wherever it was. But when you hear the story that the coach and his teammates felt that was his only chance to escape, the financial situation that his family was in, you really got to have almost a heartwarming story to it. And what a record that is. That, like we said, it's still a record at the high school level, in second place for all levels of basketball. Another story, January 26, 1985, the great one, Wayne Gretzky, tallied his 50th goal of the season in just his 49th game he played in that year. Gretzky wore that number 99 for the Edmonton Oilers. Who can forget that jersey, the great number 99. January 26, 1986, number 95, Richard Dent became one of the rare defensive players to become the Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 20 as the Chicago Bears dropped the New England Patriots in the big game 46-10. Yeah, that Chicago Bears 1985 defense, that was probably one of the greatest defenses in all of NFL history. What a tremendous thing that was, with Buddy Ryan as their coach, as a defensive coordinator. And wow, just great schemes and excellent players, and what could they play and defend against things. So now I want to add just one more thing. We had a recent conversation with members of the Gridiron Uniform Database, Tim Bruglia and Bill Schaefer and Larry Schmidt. And here are a few words that Tim Bruglia shared with us. That's gridiron-uniforms.com. Here's Tim Bruglia.
My name is Tim Bruglia. I live in Enola, Pennsylvania. I guess Enola's biggest claim to fame was that Mickey Schuler, the tight end of the New York Jets for a number of years in the late 70s and early 80s, calls this his hometown as well. My history with sports uniforms goes back to when I was a kid, always doodling and drawing, what I saw when I watched a football game or a baseball game or other sports. My interest in football uniforms was kind of came about when I saw that baseball had a uniform database, thanks to Mark Okkanen's amazing book, Baseball Uniforms of the 20th Century. Helped a little bit of the NHL uniforms website. Andrew Greenstein runs that one. And I saw that really there was not a whole lot going on with football. There was a gentleman named Craig Wheeler who had started a website called Football Uniforms Past and Present. But in the early 2000s, for whatever reason, it kind of gone dormant. I guess life got in the way, and I thought, man, we got to close the gaps on this. So I have no graphic artist intelligence, if you will. So I wanted to get something going. And I thought the best avenue for me to get there would be to put a description of uniforms of the NFL and other sports going back to 1933. And I asked Paul Lucas, who is still is the editor of that website, hey, throw me a bone if you can, and if I can get somebody to help out. And I think it was about the year 2009. How time flies, it's amazing. And met up with Bill. He sent me a bunch of his graphics. I thought, hey, okay, we got a connection here. And for the better part of 2.5 years before we launched, we had all the uniforms up that we could possibly find. And lo and behold, we formed the Gridiron Uniform Database, the GUD, the GOOD, whatever you want to call it. And it's been going strong for the last, I guess it's 11 years or so. So it's amazing. It's been an amazing journey. Still is an amazing journey. And that's how that came to fruition.
Thanks, Tim. It's always interesting to hear how people got interested in what their hobbies are, and definitely being interested in uniforms, especially the football uniforms, is something that we can all share that are listening to this podcast. And so we look forward to more of that conversation with Tim, Larry Schmidt, and Bill Schaefer from the GUD. We're going to have some excerpts from them in upcoming episodes coming up here soon. Remember, that is gridiron-uniforms.com, the Gridiron Uniform Database, if you're going to do a Google search on that, and we thank them for that. Also want to thank Jason Neff for the great music that he's helped provide we can listen to as we go through the show here. And, of course, all the great people that helped us with newspapers.com, onthisday.com, the baseballreference.com, hockeyreference.com, footballreference.com, basketballreference.com, and StatHeads. All were a big part in helping us put together this program today. And we look forward to talking to you tomorrow about some more sports history through the uniforms that the players wore. Talk to you again tomorrow. Sorry, but my pitching coach just called timeout and he's coming out to the mound. I think I'm going to get yanked for a reliever. We'll see you back tomorrow for some more great sports history on Sports Jersey Dispatch Podcast. We invite you to check out our websites, jerseydispatch.com and pigskinddispatch.com. Not only see the daily sports history, but to experience the preservation of great events and people that play the games. Find us on Pigskin Dispatch. It's also on social media outlets on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all your daily sports history. Pigskin Dispatch is happy to be associated with the Sports History Network, the sports headquarters of yesteryear, found at sportshistorynetwork.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.